The very first line of defence against the elements. First things first, let's talk about the very back drip edge and how that should be finished. So how we usually do it, you've got your fascia board, barge board, whatever you want to call it, going upright. And what I always use is 25, so on this face, by 50mm batten. It's the most common thing used when it comes to doing your rubber roof. After you've got this made up, the first thing you're going to want to put on there, the first part of your 2-part gutter trim, which looks a little bit like that, and it's the smaller one of the two. And the reason I say about using 50mm timber up here is it's pretty much the same as this. So what happens is this goes up here first and it gets nailed on. You don't go too crazy with your nails because you are going to nail through it again, which I'll show you now. So let's demonstrate exactly how it would look. So you've got your batten behind here. In fact, I've got a piece here so I can kind of show you. And I've also got a bit of fascia board. So you've got your fascia board, you've got your batten, then what you're going to do, as I said, is you're going to pin through here. So the ideal makeup is this. Wider your barge board for longer runs at the back of your building. You've got guttering clips going here, and what happens here is your guttering clips will catch this. So that's the perfect way and the only way you should be doing the back edge of your garden room. What happens after this, I'm just going to put that down. Your rubber. So let's get that back up how it was, roughly. So this is the back edge of your room. Your rubber's going to come over here and it's going to come down here, just like that. And then what happens, it's a lot to do with one hand this, is you've got part 2. Try and do this best I can without all falling apart. So you've got part 2 there. Obviously you're not going to have this here. Pull that tight-ish. And that there, that's the ideal setup there. So what happens here is this mechanically traps the rubber and you'll be supplied with these poly top nails in your kit. So you nail through here, through the rubber, through the first part of your gutter trim, and it ends up going into your batten and slightly into your fascia board. That is the perfect setup. And what we're going to actually do is show that in practice. In order to do that, we need to talk glue. So this is a water-based deck adhesive for 1-piece EPDM. And what we've got here is 1.14mm thick rubber, which is more than enough. It's durable, it won't rip, very hard to pierce. The second part of gluing it down is your contact bonding adhesive. So let's go up on the roof and have a little look at how that's supposed to be done. What I've got here, 100mm wide-ish piece of timber. It's not less, it might be slightly more. Wide piece of timber. What I'm going to do, I'm going to line this up here with the edge of my roof. I'm going to draw a pencil mark. And I'm going to do this on all 4 sides of the building. What this does is it gives me 100mm all the way around, ready for me to put contact adhesive on. The way contact adhesive works is you'll apply it to one surface and you apply it to the second surface, and what you'll do is you'll leave it for about 5-10 minutes until when you touch it, it doesn't stick. And then after that, you'll glue your rubber down. So what we'll do is in a minute is we'll roll this back. We'll get the water-based deck adhesive down, but we'll only glue up to this line. Once that's done, we'll do our contact adhesive, get it all brushed out. So make sure you've got all your air bubbles out first before you do your contact adhesive, because otherwise you're going to trap the air. And what you don't want is that sticking over there and you can't get all the air out. That's the most important part. So what I'm doing here is I'm just trimming off the excess because it makes it easier when you're rolling your rubber with a down pipe that I'm going to show you in a minute. Again, a little time-saving tip or helpful tip if you're working on your own, which a lot of people, as I said, tend to. What I'm leaving is about 100 to 150 mil around the edges. You need to leave enough so that it comes past your curb trims, which I'll explain shortly. You need to leave enough so it comes past there, and obviously it goes past your fascia, because you are going to be trimming this again with a very sharp knife to get it perfect. So we have had a little bit of rain, so we'll have to take a little bit of a break for a while. You should never glue it down when the roof surface is wet. And if you do get it wet, I have seen people in forums saying, my roof's wet, what should I do? I can't get my rubber down. You can, but you need a blowtorch. So make sure your roof surface is completely dry before you put the glue down, because otherwise it waters the glue down and it doesn't stick properly and it'll probably fail, and you don't want that. So let's get it rolled up just over halfway and then get some glue down. I said I was going to use a downpipe, but it turns out my downpipe is not in the van. So I'm going to show you how to do it without one. Fold it over. Start yourself off with a bit of a thin roll. Keep your thumb on there to stop it from rolling back. Then what I'll do is I'll put my knee on it. Get myself tucked over. And the aim is just to start the roll off here. Once you start it off, it's easy as pie. Ooh. This is where if you've got too much overhang, it flops over and it makes it really difficult. With that done, try not to fall off the roof here. Start the roll off, nice and uniform. So we've got a nice bone dry roof to go at. It's at this stage you can give it little tugs just to get any big bubbles out. Easy as pie. Roll it, roll it, roll it, roll it, roll it. As far as you want to, as far as you're comfortable with. And then you can start your glue. Always give your glue a good shake before you use it. Now usually you'd use the roller tray that came with it, but along with the downpipe, I haven't got one. So I'm just going to pour it out. Then I'm going to get my roller. Oh, and another thing, wear gloves. This stuff's horrible to come off your hands. And start rolling. I'm going to stay around. Need a bit more glue there. It's just the first bit of the roller taking the glue up. Don't need to be too sparing with this. Again, I'm staying near that line. So I'm going to come back for that with the contact adhesive. Get it all rolled out. Usually, you can do 9-inch segments when the sun's out. Make sure you get anything like this pesky little blade of grass away. There we go. It's a very good opportunity while you like this to get anything you may have missed that may be sticking out the roof. Because the last thing you want is that. Any bits of debris, anything, you can pick it all up at this stage. Roll it, and go back to my line there. Sound like the Bob Ross of the EPDM world. Look at that cloud. Goodbye. Again, don't be stingy with it. You get plenty to do what you need to do. Staying in that line there. Add a little bit more down there, so I can just finish this off and square it up. Roll it. Again, staying inside that pencil mark we did earlier. That ensures you've got your 100mm around the edge. Now usually if you have a warm deck roof, you'd have OSB. Seeing as this has been done the other way around, so that we can get more insulation in the roof without losing the height, because you've only got 2.5 metres to play with. If you went 50 on the top of the roof here, you'd be over your 2.5. So the way that you get around it is what we did, clad the inside and insulate the inside. So what we're gonna do now, if you were on your own, this is how you do it. Grab your roll, pull it towards you, stay about 4 inches of fresh glue, and then you start sweeping very thoroughly, and you get all your air bubbles out. Another tip, probably a bit too late to mention, but still a good idea. So this is perfect, look, see this here? What I'm gonna do, while I've got the opportunity, I'm gonna roll this back. I might have to actually physically pull it up to get to that. Little leaf, away she goes. Because you've got plenty of glue down there, it will just slide back to where it needs to go. And then brush all that air back out. Now it's got this big air bubble here. You'll sweep them out as you go. So don't worry too much about it, don't panic. It'll be fine. There we go. Brush all that air out. It's good when it's got a little bit of water on the top of it, because you glide. See this bubble here, look? Know how well you can see that. I'm just gonna push that all the way off. And that's what you're looking for. So, that is how you get the deck adhesive complete. You'll see, as I said, we've left 100mm around the edges. I'm gonna get the last bit of air swept out of this, and then we can get on to the contact adhesive. I'm gonna open this tin up of contact adhesive. You can get this in a spray, but it does go everywhere. This way is a lot more controlled, so it spurts all over your face. What we're gonna need to do is give this a little bit of a stir without that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give this a stir, which you should always do. Just make sure, because it's an oil-based product, I believe, you need to make sure that it's all mixed together. Don't get too connected to your brush, because it's going to be rendered useless after this, because this stuff is not very nice. It's always helpful to have a bit of wood up on your roofs. You've got something to put stuff down on. Oh, make sure you wear gloves, because this stuff's bad, this stuff's worse. So a nice wide brush, cheap as chips. Get that worked in there. Just drip it on the roof. There you go. Apply this to both surfaces. Including your plastic part 1 of your gutter trim. So with this on this surface, like so, then going to come along. You can be really anal if you want to measure this, but I'm going to pretty much just guess what I know is enough. It doesn't matter if you go over, because remember, contact adhesive only sticks to contact adhesive. So if you go over, it doesn't really matter too much. It's going to have gone off by the time you come to lay it down. And it won't stick to your fascias, and it won't leave any residue behind, so there's no drama. Go a little bit past there. And don't stay around this stuff for too long either. Try and keep it away from you, because it's very solventy. So if I start talking funny in a minute, it's because I've been too close. I'm going to do this the whole way around. I can actually feel that in my eyes. Not burning my eyes, but you know what I mean. Can you feel it? with that side completely done, we're going to move over to the other side, let this go off for 5 minutes. So this is how you'll know it's ready. You get your hand with your fingertips. See how it's a bit of tack to it, but nothing's coming off my hands. That tells me that's perfect. So what I'm going to do, lift it up, and get my hands underneath it. I'm going to roll it over like this, all the way along, work my way down. My fingernails apart. Rub my hands over the top. I make sure that every bit's been stuck to itself. What you should end up with, if you do get an air bubble like that, you just pull it back. There you go. You end up with a nice, crisp edge, just like that. I'm going to re-glue this front corner so I'll show you exactly just how well this is stuck. See how well that's stuck? That's not going anywhere. So I'll top that bit of glue back up, get the other side done, do these other two sides, and then we'll move on to curb edge trims and the second part of the gutter trim. Remember to go all the way to the bottom of your trim here. It's going to be very important in a minute when it comes to trimming it off. You'll be able to glide your blade across it lovely. Again, don't worry if you get a little bit of over drip, it's fine. Nearly there. So you'll have plenty of this to do your whole building. And I'll bring you up here in a minute and you can see just how well, before this goes down, the actual deck adhesive has stuck the rubber down. Last little bit. All the way to the end there. And finished. So without the contact adhesive even being down yet, if you have a look, pretty well stuck down with just the deck adhesive. That's that back edge ready to be glued down. I'm just going to let this go off. Right, so that's the back edge tacked off, perfectly ready. Push that over, and you'll see in a minute exactly what I said about make sure you go to the bottom of your trim. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull it over here. I'm going to rub it across this first part of this plastic trim here. And what this is going to do is get me a nice crisp edge. And I'm going to get my blade, find the bottom of the trim there, poke this in, and you'll be able to just glide it along just like that. I'll cut this off here. You can see exactly what that looks like from the underside. So your second part of your gutter trim is actually going to come a little bit further past this, so you don't have to be amazingly neat, but the neatest way is exactly what I've just said there. Nice crisp edge there, ready to go. Get this trimmed off, get this glued down, and then, as I said, trim time, and then we are done. There we go. So what I like to do with the front trims, because it's going to be the first thing you see, is I'm not going to put a full length on and cut a piece in. What I'm actually going to do, I'm going to get my tape, I'm going to measure what I've got. So I've got 762. So if we go 381 on both of these trims, so 381 happens to land just on a nail hole, which is fine. And then I go 381 on here. I'm going to cut both of these off, and what will happen there, you'll end up with a join right in the very centre of the front. As I said, it's where most people's eyes are going to be drawn to when they first look at the building. Remember what we did with the screws? We love symmetry and things in the middle. Right, so trims. I'm gonna get my hammer. As I said earlier, your final trims are gonna be nailed on with these, which are 50mm polytop nails. I'm gonna start at the front. We've cut all the trims down now, Ben's just finished that. I'm gonna make sure that I don't go past this edge, but I'm nice and flush. And then push it this way, not mentally, just enough to compress the compression strip that's on the underside of this. Then what you're going to do, you're not going to send this all the way home, because it still needs a little bit of wiggle room to move. Same again, centre of the hole. As you'll notice, this is a slotted hole, whether you can see that or not. So you've got a slotted hole there. I'm going to go in the middle of it. What that does, it gives this trim a couple of mil either side of this nail to move through the seasons. Again, I'm not going to fire that all the way home, so it's got movement. And then I'm just going to get all these nailed on, and then we'll talk corner trims, joining trims, and your joining trims for the gutter over there. So with this, you'll notice that it's lovely now, nice and flush with the roof. The water's going to run over to here, straight down here. Once the guttering's on, it'll all be caught by that. And there's nothing to rot, nothing to go wrong, and it is the perfect install. The only thing that's left after this, as I said before, corner trims and joining trims. So I'm going to finish getting this nailed on, and we'll get the trims on, and then we're pretty much there. So corner trim time. What these have is snap outs. That's what I'm going to do, because it's going over this trim and that trim. I'm going to snap both of these out, as easy as that. Right down there. And what you'll notice, if I go to put this trim on now, you've got to try and get the knife blade in there. And what'll end up happening is it'll end up like zigzagging. So the best thing to do here, pinch it, trim it down now, pull it tight, get your blade in at a 45-degree angle, pull that away from the trim there. Same again over here. What that does, it keeps it away. When I'm going to put this down here like that, you've got a perfect finish. And what I have done as well, you can glue these with mitre adhesive, but what I prefer to do, drill a hole through, because these can be brittle, especially in winter. Drill a hole through. What that allows me to do, put polytop nail through here, into the timber behind. But you'll only do one side, because what you need is for, if this needs to expand, it can come this way, in and out, inside this trim. You can't see it. And this can do the same. So I'm going to get these nailed on, and then we'll jump onto the joining trims. Joining trim looks just like this. Obviously take the wrapper off of it. Same thing again. I'm going to go halfway down, pre-drill a hole, centre. Same thing again. I'm going to try and find my knife in this absolute chasm of a pocket I've got in here. It's at the front of the roof. Get my knife, and I'm going to trim away at a 45-degree angle again. This rubber just here. And then hook it on the underside, snap it on the top. Make sure we're nice and square with the trims. Now straight through the middle. And that's your trim work complete. All that's left to do then, trim off the rubber, and then get the back joining trim on, and then you're finished. That's your EPDM complete. The perfect EPDM install. And that's the end of the 4x3 summer house build in Reading. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up or thumbs down if you didn't enjoy it. Pretty sure you will. And don't forget to subscribe, turn your notifications on, set your preferences to all. The way you do that is when you hit the subscribe button, you'll end up with all, personalised and none. Set your preferences to all, that way you'll be notified when I release another video just like this one. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.